What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Replay watchers, thanks for being here. Those joining live, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. Excited. We got a good episode for you guys. Talking NBA playoffs that get started kind of technically Tuesday. I know so they don't count the playing games as playoffs technically, but they also don't count them as regular season games. So
if you can bet on them, they're real.
Well, yes, exactly. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Hello, not too bad. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Good. Gotta make sure I have everything in a row here. Constantly updating Twitter to see if Luka's okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he left yesterday's game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're saying left calf injury. That's all they're saying. Official team stuff says, oh, it's just a sprain, but they're getting an MRI today.
Okay.
Well, it should have been this afternoon, but they've not released the details yet.
Yeah.
Which is obviously worrying everyone.
Right.
Yes. Oh, I can get rid of that. Fantastic. Carrie sent me a message the other day. I guess it would have been Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have been where y'all were getting a little bit of, at least she was getting some flurries.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you.
Crazy.
Dad said he was getting some stuff too in St. Louis. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I know my grandparents. I probably say this every April. My grandparents got married April 17th, I believe.
Okay.
And there was snow on their wedding their wedding day. I think they were in Sydney, Ohio. They were,
yeah,
northish Ohio. So.
Oh, geez, that's brutal.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
As you might
that's
say.
Brutal. That is brutal. All right, I'm trying to think. I think I've added everything to the show notes I need. Unlike the last 2 weeks, I feel like.
I
think it's all there. So.
I think so.
Yeah, and I like your note about Dallas. I'll for sure throw that over to you when we get to that.
Yes.
That series, obviously, because it's right in your backyard.
It's funny. They were saying, what was it? Dallas Morning News was saying it's the worst favor the NBA could give Luka because they removed his would have been his 16th technical,
right? Which
automatically puts you out so many games, and they were saying, hey, thanks,
man.
Now we got our guy injured, but you don't expect that going into
that's true. I didn't
especially
even think
a game
about
that was.
Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. Sorry, I just burped on camera.
Hey. Stream's cool. Stream gets it.
Yeah.
Stream's chill. They were saying, Dallas Morning News was saying, he's like, we don't like saying this very often, but Cuban should have pulled a Jerry Jones and gone down to check in.
Mm-hmm.
3. Yeah. Who are they? They're playing the Jazz, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Which
yeah,
I'm sure to a certain extent they're like anybody but the Clippers.
Honestly, I think they're fine.
Yeah.
They were talking about whether or not you wanted. I think they lost, but they've gotten Denver. Trying to remember how it would have worked, but they're saying the Jazz is the least,
I
not
agree.
terrible, and they avoid the Clippers. And who else do they avoid? I think they avoid.
What's up, Johnny?
Maybe it wasn't.
Hey guys.
Oh, hey. They can avoid Phoenix for a while.
That's true, and that's the way I feel about Milwaukee, and we'll get into that. But I think Milwaukee being the 3 seed and avoiding Miami, who I think could give them a ton of problems, is huge. At least till the conference finals.
Did you tell Michael to watch tonight?
I did not. I'll text him after. I mean, the live stream's available afterwards. So, I could. I'll text him right now. Why not? Hang on.
I meant to say that last night. Like, hey, that's what we're gonna go over. Not that. I don't know. He has the time to watch it on like double speed, probably or something.
Probably. I'll text him real I'll switch. Hang on, let me switch so you can see everybody. There we go. Sorry, stream. It's just my face Googling. That's the content you're here for, right?
We love Googling.
I can do this. I'm smart.
Oh, I just typed everything in Josh's section.
Oh, nope, keep it there. Whatever. I've not even looked at it yet, but I will just have it right there. Ah.
Guys, I tweeted a video of a panda falling down on our Fifth and Goal Twitter account.
Because why wouldn't you?
Because why wouldn't you? And then I'm like, also, here's our live stream.
Perfect.
So if that doesn't get the people here, nothing will.
I don't know. This better go viral.
Yeah, that's right. What's up? By the way, YouTube, again, thanks for being here, especially if you're watching the replay. It means a lot. Thanks for doing that.
Ooh,
And if you would like the stream down below, that also helps us out a ton. All right, let me open Audacity, and I think I'm ready to roll.
Awesome. Same here. Thanks for recording early again.
Oh, yeah,
Appreciate
of
it,
course.
guys.
Not a problem.
Oh, dang it. Sorry, chat.
Just
I know
tell
there's
me-
a thing popping up.
Tell me when and I'll start recording.
If Audacity opens. Hang on. Discard selected. Yes. All right, go for it, Johnny. I'm rolling.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Recording. And
Sweet.
now we are good. We
All
are
right,
good.
Cool. Josh, you all set?
I am good.
Any questions about the show notes, guys, before we jump into it?
I'm going to double check and make sure I'm good.
I'm all
Yeah,
good.
I'm good.
All right, cool. We'll get started. Welcome to the Fifth and Goal podcast. My name is Aaron. Welcome back to another episode. It's episode 59. I am joined once again by my good friends Josh and Johnny. Guys, welcome to episode 59, where we have the NBA playoffs in front of us. We're going to break it all down. But first, Josh, what's up, man? How was your week?
Normally, I have a bit planned, but I have. I don't know if you guys have noticed,
Yeah.
but this happened last week. But April has started,
Yes.
and as you I can't say grad school students anymore because you both have gotten degrees.
We're
that
done with that, man.
take a lot less time. Listen, who's the dumb one for taking a 4-year master's program? Anyway, April has arrived, which means I am surrounded by so many more books than I used to be. So any bits, any like jokes I have are buried in these ancient tomes written in 1977.
I'm sorry, Josh. I was gonna say the bit that you normally do that, it could thunderstorm. That's Johnny and I have that tonight. We've taken that bit.
Oh, you've
from
taken that
you.
away from me?
We could lose power at
Okay.
any moment, honestly. But
That could be really fun. Actually, the
yeah.
other bit I could
Happens
do
to me
is
a lot.
yeah, it does.
I could search through my books again and see if you hid any.
Yeah, that's
hid
true.
Any Snyder Johnson
If
memes.
the power goes out, the podcast will just be Josh flipping through
It'll
books
just be me
for
flipping through
40
books.
minutes, and then we'll see if he finds a meme.
45
He probably will.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I have because I have some. Well, don't stream, don't and podcast, don't say anything. But there's a few that I just have as like
bookmark
examples of like what they did.
Oh,
and
good.
So,
Okay.
but if I did it, I'd have to pretend that it was.
Oh,
I'd have to pretend like I was discovering for the first time. So don't say anything. Just pretend along with me. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Very nice, Johnny. What's up, man? How's your week?
Oh, well, I took it a bit on the chin this weekend and this Monday too. And by the chin, I also mean forehead.
Yeah, what'd you? The stream can see it and I can see it. What happened?
Yeah, so literally turning off the presentation this morning at work. Me being my reckless, clumsy self,
no.
literally just
Oh no.
got up too quickly after like bending down to unplug something or turn it off or whatever, and just whacked my head right on it's like a metal cross beam basically. So
Ooh.
I've had a headache all day, so we'll fight through it. We'll fight through it today, but all the sports teams struggle busing this weekend. Arsenal terrible, Reds not as terrible as I expected.
Hey,
Still not good.
Hey,
Cavs bad, but not awful, but bad. Just not going well. not going well. So we're going to turn it around.
That's
starting
right.
tonight. Things are going to get better. And away we go. How's that? I also lost every spike ball match when we played yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I sprained my big toe. So that is
is this the same big toe you broke a while ago?
No, that was the small toe. So now we're on the big one. I mean,
it's out, I suppose.
It's fine, but let's hope it's not broken.
Jonny, I appreciate you being a team player, still being here, fighting through injury. I mean, just true dedication, just showing guts out here. I mean, man, what an inspiration.
I know what you're alluding to. What league is that lacking right now?
The NBA? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, okay. The NBA specifically. Which we will be talking about. My week was also good. I had the chance, I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail later on, but I had the chance to go up to Detroit this weekend to catch a Detroit Tigers game. So I checked off Comerica Park off of my Major League Baseball checklist, which I've only have 5 out of 30, but it was sweet. I had a really good time. And again, I'll get into kind of more of that later on in the show. But yeah, good week for me as well. A lot of traveling. So I feel like I'm just sitting here, like finally being able to catch my breath. And now we get a chance, guys, to talk about the NBA playoffs, because we're going to do this thing again where we talk about games that have already happened by the time this podcast comes out. That's kind of one of the negatives of a platform like this, where we're trying to talk about things on the fly, even though they will partially be over when they come out. But by that, guys, of course, I'm alluding to the NBA play-in tournament. Before we get into it, Josh, I kind of want to start with you, and I know you've mentioned this. I think last year we talked about this, and I just am curious if your opinions have changed. LeBron obviously was very vocal in his displeasure of the system, but you tend to like this. Is that still the case this year?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with loser of this playing game. I was looking at lines for, I guess, Cavs and Nets. Like, either team is still getting a chance to play because it's just one game, and then they'll play either the Hawks or the Hornets. Am I getting that right?
Correct. Yeah, and I'll explain the format in just a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I'm still trying to understand that. But for the most part, it's not like they're adding a 7-game series. They're playing a game, and I believe the one they'll play then would be a 3-game series, or is it still just one?
It's just one, yeah. So it's real quick.
Yeah. So and you're not adding that much more. Functionally, you're not adding that much more basketball.
Right.
I think that's the one thing above anything else. We're good. Above anything else, I want to make sure that I don't advocate for putting players at risk of extra injury due to exhaustion or overwork, just for the entertainment of people. At the end of the day, basketball, baseball, all of this stuff, there are more important things than hoisting a cool trophy at the end of the day. And so I think for these types of things, I think there's subtle changes that are, in my mind, they add some stakes without adding too much more danger of injury. Mm-hmm. We say that, and we'll get into into Luka in a sec, but
yeah,
for the most part, you're adding more content while trying to minimize, and I think in a decently minimize, any potential danger of this. Also, LeBron could have used an expanded playoff, and even more expanded playoff.
12-team plan this year. Oh gosh,
everyone gets a shot.
Yeah. I mean, Jonny, I feel like it adds drama to the end of the season, and a season that is somewhat meaningless overall when you play 82 games.
Yeah, I love the play-in game. Actually, I didn't like it at first. Mm-hmm. But it adds some intrigue at the end, and the way they format it as well, to where being a 6 seed's a big deal. Denver wanted to make sure they were at 6 and not 7 to avoid the play-in game. It could potentially just be one more game, but it's a one-off game. Anything can happen. You've seen March Madness, guys. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen in a one-off game. You don't want to be in that situation to begin with. And then at the same time, it gives hope for almost the entire league to make the playoffs. Yep. We're really talking about 4 teams, probably 2 on each conference, that actually don't think they're going to even have a chance to make the playoffs. For the most part, you have almost every team in the conference believing that they can at least get to that 10 spot. And that's a very reasonable thing. I think you have really only about 4 or 5 teams total that are like, no, we're terrible this year. This year, that's definitely like Oklahoma City, but you knew that coming in. They just want more draft picks. Like you have a few teams like that, but for the most part, those teams are pretty obvious. I think it creates more storylines, it gets more teams involved and feel interested. And I think that's effective and helpful. Now, if we could only get the first round down to like 3 best of 5, that's my opinion.
I like the best of 7 personally, but fair point. And I agree, Johnny. I think it does add intrigue, and I'll explain the format here in just a second because it is a little complicated. But you're right. I mean, a team like the Pelicans comes to mind, right? This is a team that probably has 0% shot at winning the title. But they make some moves during the regular season. They bring in a guy like CJ McCollum, and here they are as the 9 seed. And you win a couple games, and then all of a sudden you're in a best of 7 series, and you never know. Probably not, but just the fact that it gives you motivation to play rather than tanking, that might be the best thing. Is a team like the Pelicans directly now, is it good for the franchise overall in the long run? That might be a separate discussion because maybe it's not. Maybe they are better off if they tank. But a team without Zion the entire season is kind of middle of the pack, but fights their way to a 9 seed and now gets to host kind of a de facto Game 7, essentially. But let's break down the format, right? Because it is complicated, and I'm going to use the Eastern Conference as an example. So right now, Brooklyn is the 7 seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the 8 seed, the Atlanta Hawks are the 9 seed, and the Hornets are the 10 seed. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So Tuesday, again, a game that will have happened by the time this episode comes out, we've got the 8 seed Cavs at the Brooklyn Nets. So your 7-8 seed. And this is mirrored the same way in the Western Conference. So your 7 and 8 seeds, in this case, Brooklyn and Cleveland, they will play a game. The winner automatically moves to that first round best of 7 and becomes the 7 seed. So let's say Brooklyn beats Cleveland. Brooklyn is moving on to the playoffs as the 7 seed where they will face Boston or whoever the 2 seed is. The Cavaliers, who lost that game, now play in a game on Friday. And in that game on Friday, they will play the winner of the 9 seed Atlanta Hawks and the Charlotte Hornets. So the 9-10 teams will also play loser eliminated. Winner plays the loser of that 7-8 game. So let's say the Hornets beat the Hawks. The Hawks done because they're in that 9-10 game. Hornets win, they have to play again on Friday, and they will play Cleveland, because again, remember, Cleveland lost to Brooklyn in this scenario. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Again, it's really convoluted. It's probably easier just to Google it and read something rather than me try to explain it to you, but hopefully that gives you the general pictures the same way. So again, 7-8 seed teams play, winner advances automatically, loser moves down to that elimination game. The 9 and 10 teams play, loser eliminated. The winner of that 9-10 game plays in that elimination with the loser of the 7 and 8. When it's all said and done, we will have 8 teams on a side on each conference per usual. We'll play best of 7 series from here on out, and we'll have our seeding. And guys, we do have most of the seeding already. So I'll give a quick run through of the seeding of what we know, and then we can kind of just discuss and give our thoughts and opinions per usual. All right, so let's start with the Eastern Conference. Miami, Clint, and by the way, quick note on the Eastern Conference. We mentioned it a week or two ago. This was an extremely tight conference. Seeds 1 through 10 are separated by 10 games. That's an extremely slim margin. That's pretty wild. And I think it could be some really interesting playoff series as a result. So with that being said, Miami, the Heat, the number 1 seed in the East, they'll play a play-in team, as will the Boston Celtics, the 2 seed. The 3 seed is the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. They are playing the 6 seed Chicago Bulls. The 4 seed in the East is Philadelphia playing Toronto, the 5 seed. So that's your Eastern Conference. In the West, you've got the Phoenix Suns as the 1 seed and the Memphis Grizzlies as the 2 seeds. Of course, those teams also both playing play-in teams. The 3 seed is the Golden State Warriors, who are finally back in the playoffs, versus the number 6 seed Denver Nuggets. And the last series, and Josh, we'll just kick it right over to you with this series. I think number 4, Dallas versus number 5, Utah. So you were explaining before we got on the air, there was a weird scenario with Luka as far as technicals. Do you want to kind of explain what happened there? Because it's really weird.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can. And I didn't see the game to see specifically what they were lifting from him. But specifically, the NBA rescinded... I don't know if that's the word.
That's the word.
That's
very
correct.
good, Josh.
Rescinded. Hey, look at that. guys, I know sports. I got them. Dude, ask me anything about sports.
That's
They
right.
totally exist. The league rescinded his most recent technical foul. I believe it was on Friday against Portland. That would have been his 16th technical, which would have suspended him for a certain number of games.
Just one, but it would have been the last game of the season.
Right.
And it
Would
would be a
suspended-
suspension of a game every time he gets a technical from here on out.
Right.
Yes.
So initially people were like, oh, yay. The Mavs were in.
Yeah.
It was basically whether or not they were going to pick who they wanted to play against. They're now set against Utah. There was a chance, basically in this seed now they can avoid Phoenix. They can avoid the Clippers, I believe, too, theoretically. Maybe not, but this puts them in a better seed. However, I guess yesterday, Luka went down with for him, game-ending, what they're calling a left calf sprain. I have been checking Twitter religiously for the past half hour. They were supposed to do an MRI today, this afternoon, and they have not released the results of that yet. Still updating. This is not Googling. I'm checking Twitter. It's different, guys.
Yeah, we have not filled that criteria yet for the show.
This is the variety that you have come to hope for.
That's right.
Now, no news yet, but there's a chance. What's sad about this and why everyone's really worried about it is the Mavs were coming into this. They were, I believe, 36-12 since December 31st.
Yeah.
And 13-3 in we're calling clutch situations since February 1st. So this is a hot team that's getting hot at the right time. This is the first time that their playoff chances are a little bit more realized. Rick Carlisle was not known for taking full advantage of the team, to put it mildly. And so there's a lot of real hope this time for the Mavs to make some significant changes in their playoff history. But right now we have no word on Luka. And if this is, literally it's just a bunch of people who think they have medical degrees giving hot takes. So no news yet, but that is going to be the thing to look for. With them coming hot late with a really favorable seeding, you could see these guys going far if they're able to have a healthy Luka. If not, not sure how much farther they can go.
Right. I mean, they're staring at Phoenix in the
issue.
second round, right? Because they're the 4 seed.
Right.
They're looking at Phoenix, the 1 seed, who just easily had the best record. But you're right, Josh. By all accounts, the Jazz are simply not the Clippers. For whatever reason, the last 2 years, Dallas has had relatively good teams with Luka emerging as a star, and the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And look, Dallas gave them everything. Gave the Clippers everything they could handle twice.
Yeah.
And
truly.
that's not there. And then, you have this injury, which you would not have had if that suspension had been upheld.
Ironically,
yeah,
keep the suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the weirdest. Yeah, it is the weirdest situation where you're hoping that he keeps his technical. Dallas Morning News calls it the worst favor the NBA ever did for Dallas. Because if the official team notes, the official team statement has been, it's minor.
Right.
That was without the MRI. Jonny, you know what they say. You know about injuries. You know that a minor thing doesn't.
Sprains are worse than breaks half the time.
Yeah,
not that you want him to break his leg. We might not say that necessarily, but
do not
because he'd be done. He'd be done.
Absolutely done.
But sprains don't get better unless you don't use them. Literally, the only way to heal from a sprain, basically, is to just not use that part of your body. And all the medical people are probably screaming at me right now that that's incorrect. But for the most part, you just need rest. You need rest when it comes to ligaments and those to actually heal, because a bad sprain is really torn ligament. Yeah. And so hopefully that's not the case. And it's not a major one like tearing your ACL. But tears, that's what a sprain is. You're not fully attached like you're supposed to be in that joint. And so they need him and they need him at 100% though, Josh. You're right. They will lose to Utah. They will lose to Utah
Without
if
Luka,
he's
yes.
not healthy.
Yes.
Without Luka, or honestly, guys, Luka at 80%, they will lose to Utah. It'll be a 7-game series probably, and they will lose. They will lose that series to Utah because the West is brutal up until number 6. I think 7 and 8 are pretty weak in the West, if I'm being honest. But those top 6 teams are outstanding in my opinion. So I mean, having Denver as a 6 seed is brutal.
That is really brutal.
Now, Jamal Murray is still not really Jamal Murray right now, so Denver's not what it could be at full force. But if Luka's not ready to go, Utah will beat them.
Yeah,
fully believe that.
I agree. Jonny, you bring up that Denver Golden State series. I think that's fascinating because you really have 2 teams of what could they be, right? Because you've got Golden State's big 3. They've all played at points because Klay Thompson came back. But I believe I looked today, they've played 11 minutes on the floor at the same time because the moment Klay Thompson came back, Draymond Green got injured for 2 months. The moment Draymond Green got back, Steph Curry's been out. So if you get those 3 guys on the floor at the same time, then they can beat anybody, even Phoenix. I'm convinced of that. And they have to have Draymond Green because the defensive efficiency got far worse when Green was off the court. I don't love Draymond Green, right? I think as generally rooting for someone that roots for the Cavs, I have a hard time rooting for Golden State still a little bit. But I'm mostly past that now. But even just knowing that Draymond Green is as important as he is, and then you look at the other side, Denver. Again, Jamal Murray, will he come back? If he does, what will he look like? You've got Jokic, who, in my opinion, should be the MVP again, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. That's a fascinating series. I agree with you, Jonny. The West is going to be just a meat grinder. So that's a meat grinder. You know what I think is not going to be a meat grinder in the first round is Milwaukee, Chicago. Originally, I thought, you know what, Bucks in 6. That feels like a good number. And then the more and more I've looked at Chicago, guys, this team is phony. They are 1 and 14.
They've always been phony.
Yeah, they are 1 and 14 against the top 3 teams in the East, or the top 5 teams in the East, whatever the stat is. They're 1 and 14. I know the regular season doesn't matter a ton, but that's a bad number. That's a bad number, and especially considering what Milwaukee's defense did in the playoffs last year. They were like 8th in defensive efficiency last season. Came to the NBA playoffs, flipped a switch. Just like that, became the best team defensively and won a title. Now, I will say the Bucks are a little worse this year. They're about average. They're about league average. I still expect them to flip a switch. Maybe they're not the best defense in the playoffs, but they're going to have some really good defensive moments. It's a great team. They have NBA Finals experience. And the more I look at that series, I think, man, the Bucks might just win it in 5. Like, I'll give Chicago 1 because I think I'll give them 1 game at home. But the Bucks, in my mind, they've got this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, Aaron. And I think the 1-8 and 2-7 in the West are also going to be rough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Clippers don't have Kawhi. Sorry. Timberwolves, great job. You guys finally made the tournament. If you get past the Clippers, fantastic. You finally are in the playoffs. Good for you. It's about time.
It is.
But you're still not going to do anything. Spurs and Pelicans, I mean, come on. Come on. So, in general, the West, I wouldn't expect Phoenix or Memphis to lose more than 1 game in either of their series. We're looking at playoffs really how they should be. The 3-6, the 4-5 look outstanding for most of them. The one where the most vulnerable, and this is very obvious in my mind, the most vulnerable top seed is Boston.
Yes.
At 2. It's Tatum and Brown and nothing else. Like, I'm sorry, Marcus Smart's a great defender. He can have moments of brilliance for you as well. But who's playing your big? Who's playing your big?
Well, yes, exactly. And as soon as you've got that matchup with the Bucks in the second round, yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
What if you're playing the Cavs?
Yeah,
I mean, if you play the Cavs, like if the Cavs beat Brooklyn, like that's by no means given whatsoever, but it's very much a possibility they could beat Brooklyn.
If Brooklyn wins, it's a possibility too in my mind.
Right. But like the Cavs have a forest.
Yeah.
with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and Kevin Love and Markkanen. And it's huge. The team's huge.
Yeah.
Like they probably don't have a player on their team that's at Tatum's level yet. Garland's ascending. And I know I'm a Cavs homer here, but like matchup wise, it is bad for Boston because it's not like the Cavs have a bunch of bigs who can't go guard the perimeter. No, it's the opposite. It's Cavs have a bunch of mobile bigs. Boston has no one to go into the paint and fight them. So that could be a trick. Miami playing the Cavs, Miami will win. It won't be a problem. With Bam and you got your bigs, you'll be fine. Like PJ Tucker, you guys they'll figure it out against the Cavs. Partially, I would like to see Boston get there with Brooklyn, because I think that'd just be a fascinating series. But I'm just disappointed that Philly wasn't able to get the 2 seed and potentially play Brooklyn. That's all I really wanted.
They still, not in the first round.
I know, but it would have to happen later, and I don't want Brooklyn to even get there. So,
sure. Do you think? Okay, what are the chances of Brooklyn realistically doing anything though? In my mind, it's probably a little bit better than people are giving them credit for, because I think it's easy. And I'm with the people that are jumping on Brooklyn saying, haha, you tried to make this super team and now you're in the play-in tournament. I'm with those people because I think it's hilarious too.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. And look,
I love it.
Before I completely move on, I will come back to this point. Look at Miami, right? Yes, you added Kyle Lowry and you added Jimmy Butler, but so many of their key players through the draft. Yes, if you're Phoenix, you added Chris Paul, but so many of their key players through the draft. Look at Memphis, now the 2 seed, who is still in my mind extremely ahead of schedule. Oh yeah, just about all of those guys, key guys like Desmond Bane coming out of nowhere in the draft, a 4-year guy in college. Look at what the draft has been doing for these teams. I'm not going to say the era of super team is over, because Golden State's going to have something to say about that still. But even then, Golden State, they're two at the top. All of those guys at this point still through the draft, through their own franchise. Like Kevin Durant's gone.
Aaron, all those teams too, the players that you mentioned that they added, who wanted Kyle Lowry? Who wanted Chris Paul?
Right.
Like, who wanted these players too? The ones that they did get in free agency. I mean, the Warriors, heck, without Kevin, it's all a pretty organic team too. Like, nobody wanted Andrew Wiggins and his contract. And the Warriors are like, sure, come on, you'll be fine. Come play with us. We want you here. Like, those are teams like Jimmy Butler had limited options really of where he was going to go. So even in those, there's always been additions in free agency that are key additions to you winning championships. That's normal. That's different than what Brooklyn's done. And I know you're saying that for sure, but like, it is wonderful to see these teams. The Cavs are organic. Toronto's completely organic. Chicago's not organic at all, but it's also just a bunch of odd pieces that they're like, let's throw them all together. Boston's organic.
Yep.
Like there's so many teams. It's fun. It's fun. Even Denver, those are all their own guys. Utah, other than Mike Conley's their own guys. Like, I love it. I love seeing this many teams that are just organically built in the draft with just a few free agent additions to round you out.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm not going to say that, again, the era of super team is over, but we're getting there. I mean, we're rapidly approaching that point, which you'd love to see. I also think, Johnny, to your point, I think, doesn't it open it up to more teams that could win a title?
Yes.
Like the Warriors and Cavs was a tremendous rivalry, but you knew going into it, it was only a matter of time before those two teams ended up in the finals. Like, you had some cool moments here and there, but it was almost inevitable that you'd see the Warriors and Cavs. And it was fantastic. And I think for decades, we'll look upon those series fondly. But I mean, I'm looking at this list, like, I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 teams from the West I could reasonably see winning. And I know Phoenix had a tremendous regular season. They're the odds-on favorite for good reason. But I mean, I could see Denver putting, like, if Jokic just loses his mind in the playoffs, which he usually does, by the way, I could see Denver making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and then you never know. And they're a 6th seed. So I think it's great. But going back to the original point about Brooklyn and about kind of the leftovers of this super team, do either of you, do you think they can win a series?
Yeah.
Okay, because I do too. Sure. Probably at 1 or 2.
They lose to Miami.
Okay.
I think they could beat Boston. Certainly.
Yeah, I do too.
Certainly, I think they could beat Boston. That's it, though.
Okay.
Like, I think they can win a first round matchup. I don't think beyond that, because if they're playing Boston, they beat Boston. They're playing Milwaukee,
right?
And they're not beating the Bucks. And if they play Miami, really, I don't think they'll beat Miami. But if they somehow survive that, you're playing probably the Sixers. I don't expect that to go well with the Sixers having home court advantage. and potentially Ben Simmons coming back. Let's hope that Ben's
that's an
back.
interesting
if that
storyline
series
too.
happens.
Yeah.
If that series happens, let's hope Ben's back.
Yes.
So I just can't see them really winning multiple series. I've never been a fan of that team whatsoever since they constructed it. And they're kind of phony. Honestly, they're phony. But look at all the super teams, Aaron. The Lakers, they're not even in. They're not even in. The Clippers, always hurt. Always hurt. They're in the play-in. Brooklyn, always hurt or just part-time employees. They're in the play-in game too. Like, your super teams aren't healthy. It's egotistical teams. So there's no, like, Memphis looks like they're having a blast playing with one another.
Yeah.
They look like they're having so much fun out there. Phoenix looks like they're having so much fun out there. Miami is Miami with Jimmy Butler, but they still look like they're having fun most of the time in the Jimmy Butler way of having fun. The teams who look like they get along and are having fun are the best teams right now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something to be said about playing team ball, playing for one another. And I just don't think you're seeing that on a lot of those super teams right now. I'm not saying that they're not truly hurt as players, but you're relying on 2 guys or 3 guys to be your everything. And that doesn't work in a long-term situation.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Yeah, let's talk about the Lakers for a minute before we make any predictions going forward. Josh, what's your take on this? Because I don't think any of us were super sold on the Lakers going in, but I don't know if we also saw it going this poorly.
This is a team. I'm going to give you guys a stat.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys know?
Ooh.
Yeah, Aaron, you love stats.
I do love stats.
Did you know how many coaches they've had since the 2010-2011 season? Ever since Phil Jackson steps down?
Oh,
is it 7? I think it's 7.
Ooh, you're close.
I was going to say 5. Is it 6?
So I'm going to split it down the middle and say 6 if you want to count Bickerstaff as an interim.
How long was he there?
He went 5 games.
5.5.
He's the head coach of the Cavs right now.
Yeah,
he has the best record of the.
Probably.
He was 4-1 as an interim. No, since then you had Mike Brown, who I don't have their win losses, but I do have their percentage. Mike Brown went 59 or 0.59, however you.
Yeah, 59%. Yeah,
59%. Yeah. D'Antoni went 43%.
Forgot about that.
From 12 to 14. Yeah, remember D'Antoni?
Was that when Steve Nash was on the Lakers?
I think so.
Oh
Dwight Howard, the super team.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Super team.
Remember?
Oh no.
Remember, guys. Byron Scott went 23%.
Oh.
Right? Luke Walton went 39%. And then finally Vogel 56%.
Nice.
Guys, if I were to get that is, and because we're all from Ohio and we know the carousel of quarterbacks that have gone through the Browns, and honestly at times the carousel of coaches that have gone through the Browns, like, here's my hot take, if the Lakers weren't the Lakers and didn't have the pedigree and the prestige of being that team, we would not even be talking about them. This is not a team worth mentioning outside of their pedigree. Like, this is a team that we just talked about how the era of the super team is kind of at least phasing out at times. And I think the Lakers are the prime example of how bad it can get if you're just trying to load your team up with people who you're hiring only for their ability to put up numbers and not play with each other.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference. It's like when we talk about, like, you know, I can hear people say, oh, what about like Tom Brady and the super team that he's built at the Bucks? Because they pretty much did the same thing. They all took pay cuts for a year or two just to get to the championship. I mean, aren't they getting Edelman in for a year? Like, you know, it's just.
They got you on April Fool's there, Josh.
Oh, dang it.
But it's awesome. But it's kind of believable though, right? Like, that's a
but
believable.
That's why it was a good April Fool's.
Yeah, it's like good. I'm like, oh yeah, of course he'd sign for a year for like nothing just to see. Yeah.
Right.
But it's not because he's simply a numbers guy. He's a guy who knows how to play on the team.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is a guy who attracts, you know, he is great and he is the GOAT. he's not someone who he can't just throw bombs if no one can catch them.
Right.
Like he requires a team. Same thing with I think with LeBron and what we've seen is he could throw 55 points up on a night at his age. Like that's fantastic. No one else can, so it means nothing. Michael Jordan wasn't. Let's just talk about the comparison.
Oh.
Michael Jordan wasn't great on his own. No team, no GOAT has. Like he had Pippen, he had what else did he have?
Rodman.
Weird guy with all the piercings.
Long
yeah,
collection
Rodman.
of players. Sure. Yeah.
Long collection. Like he had a good team. It wasn't just him, trying to put up, 65 points a game
Right.
Against everyone. And so I think, and that was obviously what LeBron was trying to build, trying to build people who he thought could help him. But I don't think in reality, these were players that were able to get the team where they needed to be. And obviously, if you don't have a good leader and a coach, as Lakers haven't had since Jackson probably, or Bickerstaff, then yeah, you're just going to see we're going to see basically
what we saw.
Exactly. Yeah, what we saw. Yes, words.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw a young child run across the lawn in front of me, and I went, he's small.
Yeah, I mean, this might be a hot take, but I'm here to tell you that I think LeBron is at the point in his career where he no longer cares about winning and just cares about playing with some of his friends. And I think that's that's okay.
Accuse him of,
if you're a franchise that's okay with that. I mean, maybe LeBron thought there was an actual way that this team wins a title. But again, and I know hindsight's part of it, but I looked at this team and I wasn't convinced, right? I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm sure the audio is on this podcast somewhere, I said this team got worse in two specific areas. They got older, which means more injuries. That certainly played itself out. And they got worse at shooting. And that also played itself out.
Exactly.
And look, LeBron's probably going to stay in the league until his son is there. That's fantastic. Good for him.
Good job.
But I'm at this point, and this is from someone who considers LeBron probably the greatest of all time. Obviously, there's a huge debate between him and Michael. I'm okay with either side at this point. Because LeBron also had 30 points per game in his career, or in this season, I mean, which is insane at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But there's so many players are disenfranchised. Like, listen to these Russell Westbrook quotes. On LeBron and AD saying, let Russ be Russ this season, he said, yeah, but that wasn't true. Let's be honest. On Frank Vogel, he's like, yeah, I'm not sure what his issue was with me. On his time with the Lakers, I just felt that I never was given a fair chance just to be who I needed to be able to help this team. I'm sorry, was bricking threes off the side of the backboard not your plan? Like, that was, like, you were, what else were you expecting to do? You took so many shots, you had so many turnovers, and at times you were great, but, like, all these players are disenfranchised on this team. That when the moment something went wrong, which was almost immediately, they kind of just gave up. There was no fight. And I think LeBron, at this stage in his career, was not trying to overturn the ship and just play with the friends and play with the team that he'd gathered. This team and what LeBron did as quote-unquote general manager will probably be the biggest knock against his career.
Yeah.
And it's been a fantastic career. He's, 36, 37, doing what he's doing, still scoring 30 points a game. But, I mean... it's ridiculous. This team was 16 games under 500. They were never competitive.
No.
Never. Unless LeBron would score 60. Then they'd win some of those games. But that was it.
Maybe, yeah.
And Anthony Davis won a title and doesn't seem to care anymore, or at least hasn't cared enough to keep himself in shape. I know injuries happen, and those can be fluke things that you have no control over. The injuries that Anthony Davis is sustaining are largely because he's just out of shape. And Johnny, I know we've talked about that, and I believe that to be true. And I'm not saying that Anthony Davis, every single injury in his entire career, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but he's doing nothing to help. And Russell Westbrook has not figured out how to change his game. He's no longer that crazy, crazy athletic player anymore because he's older and he hasn't figured it out. He can't shoot. And I don't know if you're the Lakers, I don't know what you do moving forward. Like, it's going to be some dark times for you moving forward.
Let's be honest about the whole situation with the Lakers. There's a few main things. One, Frank Vogel was very low on the list of problems here.
Agreed.
It's the NBA, and you have to fire the guy because that's how it works.
Yeah.
LeBron, this is LeBron's this season. I'll give him this season. I won't give him the Lakers' struggles in general on him because LeBron doesn't deserve that. He actually has saved them the last couple of years by coming to LA at all.
Sure.
They were horrible.
And they won a title.
Let's remember.
Yeah.
Let's remember they were awful before LeBron got there too. So not all the Lakers' troubles are on Russell Westbrook and LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But this year is LeBron's doing. They had a chance to get Buddy Hield and DeMar DeRozan, and maybe even still keep Alex Caruso or KCP. Like that is a possibility. DeMar was going to take very little money to come home to LA. Alex Caruso wanted the Lakers to match his deal to Chicago, and the Lakers wouldn't. Like, he wanted to stay. KCP would have probably loved to stay. I'm mentioning your best defenders on the team as Alex Caruso and KCP. They're your best defenders. They're young players. You need youth. LeBron just doesn't seem to quite understand that. He never quite has. Like, you need to have some young players on your team. It can't be all veterans. He struggles to understand that. They basically had the deal done. This is not me guessing. It has been widely reported. Yes. They had the deal done on draft day to go get Buddy Hield, and they were going to have him. DeMar DeRozan was ready to take a pay cut basically to come to LA. You could have had both of those guys. DeMar's had a great year. Great year shooting. Big reason
why Chicago's
great year.
6th seed. Yep.
Yeah. He's the leader on the team, really. Yep. And then, Buddy Hield's great outside shooter, great 2-guard, doesn't need the ball in his hands. It's perfect for LeBron. Perfect. He chose Russell instead. I can't justify that. No. I couldn't at the time. I can't now. What on earth were you looking in Russell and thinking, yeah, we'd work together well? He's a worse version of Dwayne Wade at this point. And Dwayne Wade and LeBron, as good as they were for a few years, they never synced up skill set wise. Like, that was not a perfect fit. I don't think people are going to forget that because it was a while ago. The fit in what they did well wasn't great with Dwayne. That only worked because they were best friends and they made it work. And
that's why they lost to the Mavericks. With all due respect to Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne decided to take a step back after that and just let LeBron have the team because you had to. The problem with the Lakers overall, though, is ever since Jim Buss passed, they just lack leadership at the top. They lack leadership at the top. They haven't known what to do. They basically acted like they're the New York Knicks, which is trying to create as much cap space as possible and cross your fingers and hope that the next free agent comes. Rather than having a real plan, going out and drafting with a real plan, trying to acquire young talent, and building a roster around a core set of principles and group. Like, instead of that, they're just swinging for the fences every time with a wild free agent trying to create super teams. That's not what the Lakers were. That's never been what they are. Yes, you look at those old 80s teams and they look fantastic. Those were all actually mostly organically made. Like, they drafted James Worthy. They drafted Magic Johnson. Yeah, Kareem was from Milwaukee, but like, they gave up the farm to go get him. Like, they knew what they were doing back then and really had a vision for what being the Lakers are. They have been lost in the wilderness for the last 10 years, really, even at the end of Kobe. And they're really struggling to find their way. The only way out of this for them is trades. And there is a chance to trade Russell. You have to take on a bad contract to do it as well. So you're not going to get much for him, but you could offload him. At this point, I think you need to, just culturally, you need to get rid of him. I think you need to look at getting rid of Anthony Davis too.
Yes.
I really do. Like, you got to look, what can you get? Draft picks, assets, a young player. You need to get young. You need to get young fast. If LeBron doesn't want that, then you need to look at trading him too. And that sounds absurd, but you have to get young. You need to get young fast. You would like to have LeBron be a part of that and help lead that team and still be competitive and be in the playoffs and do that. But you need to blow this up. You need to get young fast. You need to get draft assets and capital and move forward from there. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great, but you have LeBron on your team. You can still be competitive and playing for the playoff games. Like, that, being in the playoffs is still an attainable goal, even if you drop those two and kind of blow up the team a little bit. I still think in the next 2 years with LeBron on your team, there's no excuse to not be in the playoff game, playing games. So it's not it doesn't have to be as dark, but the worst thing the Lakers can do right now is standing pat. They need to blow it up, try to get young fast, build an organic team. LeBron's not going to get better. He's just going to start slowly slipping.
It's tricky to build an organic team because you've leveraged so many draft picks to get the players that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say it's going to be really dark for the next 10 years. And look,
which is why you need to make the trades.
Yeah. And now, of course, this is the background of them winning a title 2 years ago. I think you talk about to probably every single franchise except maybe Golden State. You say, hey, would you be really bad for a few years if you win a title? Every single one saying yes without even thinking about it. So that being said, the Lakers did what they wanted to in the sense that they brought a title. LeBron brought a title to LA along with Anthony Davis, who really Anthony Davis was arguably the best player during that time. And now that ship has seemingly sailed. So you accomplished what you wanted to do. I think there was just obviously expectations that those two were going to win multiple titles. And everything at the time said, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But you're right. Even what they didn't do in the offseason, which again, I don't know, they were never really in a position to make big moves. Like CJ McCollum goes to the Pelicans. You can't tell me that the Lakers couldn't have added a guy like that to shoot some threes. Now, again, not a great defensive player, but that's just an example. Like, you could have done something, but you were never in a situation where it made sense to actually compete because you knew you weren't competitive. And LeBron started missing time, though he's not going to play an 82-game season again, I don't think. And I'm not really trying to throw shade on LeBron because, again, what he's doing at this age is actually insane. But, yeah, the Lakers, you're right, Johnny, need to take a look in the mirror and say, hey, who are we? What are we doing? And I don't think they know the answer to either of those questions right now. It's just tough. It's a tough situation for them. So we'll see. Again, Frank Vogel's kind of the scapegoat in all this because I think he's probably, Josh, to your point, the best coach they've had in the last 10 years. But you got to do something, and they're not going to fire LeBron, so and nor should they. Anyways. No. Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, with some NBA playoff talk as our background, let's move into picks of the week. Josh, man, you might have had the best week
I'm back.
You might have had the best picks of the week of all time. We're in episode 59, and I think you might have just had the best week ever. Do you want to brag about it and tell us about the picks that you got correct?
Yes, I do. I'm so sorry to the UNC fan that I watched the championship game with. Near the end, I was quietly chanting, guys, I just want to say, there's just so many things I want to say right now. I got a Facebook memory because I am 95 and still use Facebook.
Right.
I got a Facebook memory about a bracket that I made about 10 years ago.
Oh.
And within the opening weekends, all my Final Four were out. And I'm just so happy to say that I placed second in our own bracket in the tournament.
Yes, you did.
That's not enough to win anything, but I did take second.
I mean, that's out of like 60 people. That's pretty good.
I was gonna say, I'll take it. I really will take it.
Yep.
And so that was a great time. And then yesterday afternoon, I went, oh shoot. In the middle of all my papers, I go, oh shoot, the Masters is on. Let me see who's winning. And then I go, Scheffler. Let's see who I picked. And I go back because I had already forgotten. And yep, my guy.
Wow. Yeah, Scotty Scheffler ran
guy
away
who
with it.
8 weeks ago had no major wins.
Yeah.
Had netted maybe 8 million in
I believe he's 25.
Yeah.
Dang.
Josh, did you pick McIlroy too?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
I think so. You had the top two finishers.
That's insane.
So
that's insane. Well done, Josh. You got, of course, points for both of those things. And I will say, we completely forgot. We picked a baseball opening series and then just completely forgot to talk about it. We picked the Boston-New York opening series. Both of you guys picked Boston. I picked New York, so I did get a point there. So with Josh's great week, our current scoreboard is Jonny 32, Josh 32, myself with 31. It is quite the race once again.
It's still tight.
Still tight. So Johnny's lead's gone, but he's still tied for the lead with Josh, and I'm somehow in last place now. But anyways, all right. So in the spirit of NBA picks, we're going to do a couple things. One, to get immediate gratification so we can get points for next week. We're going to say, do the Cavs make the NBA first round of the playoffs? And really, as I mentioned before, because they are the 8 seed, they just have to not lose twice. They just have to win one of their next 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a downer, and I'm going to say they don't because they've just really struggled recently. I'll boo myself because I hope I'm wrong. I would be really, really sad if that happens. But they've struggled recently. Mobley's been injured. I don't know what his health level is going to be like playing those games. I think the Nets are going to be really, really on point at home. I think they're going to win, and then it's a winner-take-all game. I hope I'm wrong. Would love to be wrong. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And then we're going to do NBA Finals predictions. So I'm going to give, oh goodness, I'm going to say Phoenix over Miami.
Ooh. Okay. Johnny, I'll go since you're going to have more intelligent things to say about your picks. I went, yeah,
Yay.
sure, Cleveland makes it out. I don't
Good.
think I just got to win one of the next 2 games.
That's
Easy
right.
enough. I could theoretically do that if I was good at basketball.
Yes. Correct.
That's what I've always said.
Sure, Josh. Oh my gosh.
And then for the finals, I'm going to take the Grizzlies over the Heat.
Oh, wow.
Only because it's been a while. Pretty certain it's been a while since Memphis has won, if ever. And I'm like, yeah, seems like a good time. And then at the Heat, because I remember someone saying that the Heat was good this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's probably wise at that point then to take a Western Conference team.
Okay. Cool.
So there we go.
I like the
Only a
pick,
touch of
Josh.
wisdom
I
this
love
time.
the pick. Yeah.
I would
Oh, no,
love
darn
to
it.
see the matchup.
Dang it.
Like, I would love to see the matchup. I think the Grizzlies are
It's not
probably
going to happen then.
a little ahead of schedule,
Yeah.
so I don't think that'll happen, but I would love to see it.
You know what?
I
I predicted
also-
Kansas without even realizing.
That's
so, but I've already used my luck. I used all my luck up this week.
Yeah, you
I have
did.
nothing left. Now they're not even gonna. Neither team is gonna. Both teams are gonna get swept in the first round.
Probably.
And the only league that Johnny guarantees seem to work at all in is the NBA. So we're gonna guarantee it. Phoenix is winning the NBA Finals this year. It will happen.
Wow.
Johnny guarantee.
Johnny guarantee.
Chris Paul finally is going to get his championship. He deserves to win a championship. I think we'll all agree on that. It would be nice to see Chris finally win. I really hope he can just stay healthy. That's honestly, I feel like he probably has a championship at this point if he just doesn't have the most unfortunate injuries in the playoffs. Part of the reason the Golden State Warriors dynasty ever got kicked off was because Chris Paul kept getting hurt in those series, which is just unfortunate. I think he stays healthy. I think they win. I think we get a rematch of last year. I just have a hard time. After I see the pass, I have a hard time seeing anyone beat the Bucks, and I might be wrong. They might really miss PJ Tucker on defense this year. His impact can't be really understated, and the pest he was for Kevin Durant and some other players in the playoffs. But I have Phoenix. They've been the best team all year. It's mostly a very young team, but they went all the way to the NBA Finals, so youth isn't an excuse anymore. And you have Chris Paul leading the team, but he doesn't have to be the best player on the court at times. Sometimes it's not even Devin Booker. Sometimes it's Ayton or Bridges. I love this team. I really hope that they can do it. I have Phoenix beating Milwaukee. As far as the Cavs go, absolutely, I have them winning. I am very concerned like that Aaron will be right, though. I just have to pick my team.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with them, but I could absolutely see them losing to Brooklyn. And in my opinion, it would be Atlanta probably over Charlotte.
Yes.
So I could very easily see them losing both just because the Cavs have kind of fallen apart physically here at the end. Now they have everyone kind of back hypothetically, so we'll see, but they didn't really have a lot of time to reintegrate with one another. So we'll see how that works. It's not a good matchup for Brooklyn. So there is that. The Cavs, when fully healthy, have given Brooklyn a lot of problems because Kevin Durant's kind of the biggest player on the team. So the Cavs can kind of bully the Nets around a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'll go with the Cavs getting out and winning one of the games.
Yep. And you, the listener, know that we're probably I don't know who, but one of us is an idiot for whatever pick we just made because you already know how that game happened. So anyways, I do hope the Cavs pull through it. If not against Brooklyn, then against either Charlotte or Atlanta. But yeah, Johnny, I agree. I have a hard time thinking Trae Young doesn't find a way to get his team to the first round. We'll see. That's what I think makes this play-in tournament really exciting. So, all right, we'll see. Guys, time for what we're following. I'll kick us off because mine's relatively tame, I guess. I just want to recap the opening week of baseball. I'm just so happy baseball's back. Like I mentioned, I had the chance to go to Detroit to catch a Tigers game. That was stadium number 5. I'm looking above my desk where I've got baseballs for each team, each stadium that I've been to. I've been to the Cubs, Reds, Pirates, thanks to Josh, Seattle Mariners, and now the Detroit Tigers. I have to say, Josh, Pirates, if I'm not being biased towards my Reds, Pirates number 1 for sure. That stadium is amazing.
Fantastic stadium. It's a shame that the team
is the way they are.
What's nice is you can always guarantee that the Reds won't be last place in their division.
That's true. Poor Pittsburgh.
Ever.
Although I don't really care because I don't like the Steelers.
To be fair, they got us. They gave us the because I don't feel bad for them. I don't really a few games. Yeah. They gave us the best series of errors in the history of MLB last year. So like
they did.
I will always
can't get worse than that, right?
No.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see.
If it does, it'll be wildly entertaining. Anyways, there was a couple things I wanted to mention, though. With like a week left in spring training, there was this thing introduced called PitchCom. I don't know if you guys saw this, but what PitchCom is it's this kind of receiver transmitter thing that catchers wear on their wrist. So it looks like almost like a play sheet that you might see a quarterback wear on their wrist, but it's got some buttons. And what the catcher will do is actually press the buttons to relay what kind of pitch the pitcher should throw. The pitcher and several infielders have receivers in their hat that basically you can hear spoken audio based on what the catcher punches in. So let's say the catcher punches in inside fastball. There will literally be a sound playing from the little speaker inside their hat that says inside fastball. Apparently quiet enough that only the infielders and pitcher can hear it. And then the pitcher, throws the pitch. Obviously, this is to mitigate what we've seen in the past with sign stealing. Of course, the Houston Astros come to mind. But I'm also interested, obviously that's a great thing, right? Good on Major League Baseball for using technology in a way that actually helps make the game better. It makes it better just from a standpoint of let's not have as many cheating scandals moving forward. But also, I'm noticing that, and not all of the teams are using PitchCom, but I'm noticing that the teams that are able to actually speed up the game a little bit because the time that a catcher needs to input something on PitchCom is way less than actually like making all the signs. So in theory, this could be a really good thing for pace of play. So I'm all for that. But of course, it would not be baseball if they didn't also simultaneously introduce a couple just terrible things. And those were TV deals with Apple TV Plus.
Oh my gosh.
And Peacock.
Sorry.
And I understand that there's many millions of people that have both of these streaming services.
Yes.
But if you are Major League Baseball and you are trying to get your product to everyone and focusing on the younger generation, and you're essentially putting it behind a paywall, I don't own either one of those things.
No.
And on top of that, you have ridiculous blackouts where I cannot watch my own team when they're playing live because who knows why, because blackout rules are stupid and outdated. All three of those things combined, it is actually... If you're trying to get into baseball and you're like a casual fan and you're just thinking, you know what, I'd love to watch some baseball. I wish you the best of luck because I don't know how you do it because most of the regional networks aren't even available on streaming platforms like YouTube TV or Hulu because that TV deal. Now, that's not necessarily Major League Baseball's fault. That's those own regional channels. That's an entire different discussion. But regardless, if you are trying to get into baseball and you're trying to just find a game to watch, it's almost impossible. And that's insane. Major League Baseball could have gone so many different directions to get their product into people's hands, and instead they're like, let's put it behind streaming services.
It's literally the opposite of what we've been saying. We've been saying make it more accessible, make it more like surface level, not like appealable sound, like give it more appeal. Like do exactly what the NFL did with the Nickelodeon stuff.
Yeah.
Like that went over great.
Yep.
Except you're pulling back. Now you're pulling back. No, I haven't seen a ton of the Apple Plus stuff because I personally don't have Apple Plus, but I've seen some screen grabs, and man, that was bad.
Yeah, well, they're saying the announcing is bad. Like they're just saying all the way around.
The announcers,
is rough.
You with baseball, you have this thing where the announcers kind of have to fill some time every now and then. Like we've talked about it, it's a slow game. Sometimes you got to fill space with stuff. So beyond that, man, these Apple Plus guys, they were chatting about like what they were going to go eat after their announcing, like through like the pitch series. And I'm like, what is it? Why are you guys even there? Like, who would want to listen to this? Especially like you said, for if you're trying to attract new fans,
Right.
That's where you're throwing it on Apple Plus. That's where you're throwing it on Peacock. Guys who are like just scrolling through trying to find, you know what? This baseball team's local to my area, or I remember, a friend or a family member. Let me just check in, and you just see three guys chatting about like some random like LA specific restaurant that they're all going to go to. Like, where's the appeal? Why would I watch that if I don't know what's going on?
And there's a place for that, and it's on the
Sure.
local broadcast.
It's on the local broadcast.
Is not. And
not,
I know people were upset, especially at the broadcasting, and I think because they're used to their local broadcasts, and it's no longer those games that are on Apple TV Plus are exclusive, so you don't even have the option of just like watching your hometown crew. Totally get that. So there's probably way more criticism of the announcers than deserved, but all of your points are valid, Josh, because I mean that's an issue too. I mean, it's just insane. Like the blackouts are ridiculous. It's crazy to me. It's so
you almost have to like pick a team that's like. You almost have to be like, okay, so I'm in the DFW area, so I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I can be a Reds fan.
Yeah,
because for the most part, 90% of the games are going to be fine.
You have, like, I'm not even kidding you. You have far more access to watching the Reds than I do.
I can watch whatever Reds game I want.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have MLB TV. I subscribe.
I was going to say, I probably use it more than you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. Imagine paying $120 per year to a product and you can't watch your own team.
You can't watch it.
Like
because without the blackout, no one would go to the games.
Right.
Especially with the Reds.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to the games now.
Everyone's going to the games now.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, we got to keep those blackout rules. Otherwise, these people just won't come to the games anymore.
Yeah. Who's ever been like, oh dang, the game's blacked out. Guess we got to go to the stadium. No one.
Guess I'm gonna go drive to downtown Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Pay $15 for parking.
Yeah.
However many dollars for a ticket price. And get overpriced beer. Yeah, that's what they're going to do instead.
Yeah. Anyways.
So I guess I can't catch a quick 15 minutes of this. I'm going to take 6 hours out of my day.
Yeah.
That'll show them.
Yeah, right. Oh, my gosh. So rant over, but dang it, Major League Baseball. You just...
Come on, guys.
Everything you do is almost everything you do is wrong. We'll say no DH or DH, universal DH, great. Good for you guys. That was a good change.
Good job, guys. You know what? You take the good with the bad.
But the bad overshadows the good in this case, which is unfortunate because I love baseball. Anyways, that's it for me. That's what I'm following. But I contrary to what it sounds like, I am happy baseball's back. Having just a great time watching these games. But obviously not watching the Reds because I can't. So,
Guys, you like Jelly Bellies? Am I allowed to say brand names?
Yes.
Cool. Hey, sponsor us, Jelly Belly.
There you go.
So they're cool and all. Well, the founder, Jelly Bellies, this is a cool transition I did. The founder of Jelly Bellies, his name is David Klein.
Okay.
Found this story out last year. Or I guess the story is from last year. Back in September of 2020, David Klein, he had left Jelly Belly back in, I don't know, the 80s. There's apparently a whole documentary on it because of course there was a bunch of drama within jelly beans. That jelly bean industry can be real real rat race. But the real cutthroat, those jelly beans. He ended up making his own company, and long story short, he made a golden ticket contest. Just like Willy Wonka.
Okay.
And just like Willy Wonka, if you
Just like
found the
Michael
final
Scott.
prize, just like Michael Scott, and if you found the prize at the end of the challenge, you won a candy factory.
What?
For real.
What?
Yes.
No.
David Klein sold all of his stake in Jelly Belly in 1980. He now runs Spectrum Confections. And they make a bunch of little things. Sometimes they'll make like prop candies. There's like little shaped candies or like themed candies, the little like hamburger candies and like all that stuff. Like they make a bunch of those. So they're doing well for themselves. Back in 2020, he and his business partner, I believe, hid treasures, little dog tags, little golden tickets all throughout the 50 United States.
Wow.
And one treasure hunter in each of the 50 states received $5,000. And of course, the grand prize winner, once you found the final one, you would win his candy company. You would win his factory that's based out of somewhere in Florida. Somewhere in Florida. Here's the catch.
That no one found it in Alaska because no one lives there?
No one found it ever. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no one?
No.
No. So here's the catch. With the Willy Wonka one, what was the cost of entry? It was a candy bar.
Right.
You get the candy bar and boom, you buy however many candy bars you need to buy to get the ticket.
Right.
Well, for this one, you had to spend $50 to then get a chance. So you spend $50 to then get the clue. So it wasn't hidden in his candy. It was you basically paid him $50. It was limited to 1,000 people per state. And so once you got the code, you then had to connect from like his website to your own personal Facebook accounts, go on his private Facebook group, and he would like send the clues out that way. So this was a cool story. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Kind of a neat little thing. And a lot of people did it. Like a bunch of people like signed up for it. Over a full year later, so this was September. This article is dated September 17th, 2021. Someone finally did it. This man I believe, was it Memorial Day weekend? No, their final riddle was released Memorial Day of 21, and months later, a guy named Andrew Moss in Colorado, once he figured out what the clue was, bought a ticket to Indianapolis, found a random bridge. I don't even know what this bridge is called. Yeah, I cannot find the bridge. But found some golden dog tags underneath the bridge and won the factory.
Oh my gosh.
Won a 4,000 square foot factory in somewhere in Florida. A plant in Florida that produces candy, including edible sand art sweets called Sandy Candy. Wouldn't you want to take part of such a lucrative venture?
I'm sure that place was losing money. They're just trying to pawn it off on whoever they can.
Just trying to, that guy's like, dang it, I wish I was part of the Jelly Belly people still.
Right.
By the way, Jelly Belly released multiple statements like separating themselves from David Klein, saying he no longer works for us. He's no longer associated with us. Gosh. Because it was like, the Jelly Belly guy, and it became, Jelly Belly is hosting the contest. And so they'd be like, no, this is David. This is all Dave, not us. Also, apparently, he was calling himself the founder of Jelly Belly, which, again, was not true. Jelly Belly has its roots all the way back from, like, the 1880s. So, it was just there's weird drama there. That's another thing I'd have to start following, is, like, this whole weird mid-80s fallout between David and the rest of the Jelly Belly folk. But, guys, and here's the weird thing. And not weird.
That wasn't the weird thing.
No. So... he was gonna win. So a guy Andrew, he was gonna win the candy factory, and he was gonna go to what David Klein called a candy making, an all expenses paid trip and education to a candy making university, which was out of Wisconsin-Madison.
Candy making university? Hold up now.
Candy making university. That's an official quote from his press release.
Well, I'm sure
the winner will receive an all-expenses paid trip and education to a candy university, which Klein said was located at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So, I've not checked yet, but I don't know if the University of Wisconsin-Madison has a candy making degree, or maybe this is just like a college friend he had who lives near the area and makes taffy on the weekends. And he just got paid all expenses paid trip for a long weekend. A guy ended up saying no to the factory.
That's probably wise.
What happened was Klein essentially gave him the factory and then bought it back for him at like some sort of market value or whatever he had insured the place for. So very interesting little thing. And if you want to go buy Sandy Candy, I suppose if you want to, you can. I don't even know where they would sell that.
I'm gonna see if
I'm not really in the mood to check. You do that. I'm going to see if there's a candy making university.
Well,
Johnny,
and I
we're
need a
both
prize
Googling
for
things.
Our draft show coming up in a couple weeks. So.
Oh yes.
Oh, it's here. Oh my gosh, that's horrifying. All right.
Candy making university. Let's just do candy making university and see where I can get it.
Josh, while you do that.
It's the candy school. Literally, it's within the Department of Food Science at Wisconsin.
Wow, it's real.
It's real candy. Oh my gosh, it is the worst made website. Oh gosh, guys. First sponsored by the National Confectioners Association. Candy School.
That's not real.
Can't even do this. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. I'm sending that to you guys. That way you can tweet it out. My gosh,
Amazing.
This is a badly made website.
Amazing. Josh, real quick, Jonny, before you say what you're following, I have to interrupt. And if you're listening to the song that is increasing in volume, you know what we're about to talk about. Guys, we almost missed it. But on Sunday, April 17th, the New Orleans Breakers start their season against the Philadelphia Stars, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on USA Network. Don't miss it. It's your team because you're listening to this podcast. Again, you are legally required to root for them. They're playing the Philadelphia Stars. Guys, apparently the USFL is also experimenting with a football that will light up when it crosses the goal line. So a fun piece of technology there. And you know it'll be lighting up when the New Orleans Breakers score touchdown after touchdown. They just released a new mascot, and Jonny, there's your segue.
Yes. I have a very uplifting and fun thing about what I'm following this week. And he's actually not a new mascot, but he is new to me, as I've never been to Tampa Bay and to a Rays game, as most people haven't, even the ones who live in Tampa Bay. However, we are being uplifting and not negative about baseball right now, because I'm happy baseball's back too. And so I was introduced to maybe the friendliest looking mascot that there is in Major League Baseball. And I think he's great, even though people on Twitter were hating on him. I think Stinger is a great mascot. And so the Tampa Bay Rays, originally called the Devil Rays, are kind of named after, stingrays, right? So they even have a stingray pool for when you're there. So naturally, you have to have a stingray that can sit there. So I'm going to introduce Stinger to you guys. So I'm going to read some of his bio and some of his fun facts for you guys, because he's very fun. And you should all look up Stinger. He is a very cute little stingray mascot. So Stinger is a cow-nosed stingray, which is the largest of his species. So in 2013, he was chasing clams in the shallows of the Gulf of Mexico when he ran into Raymond, who is also the Rays mascot, and he got offered the job of greeter at the Rays touch tank. So he is the only Ray that's allowed outside of the 10,000 gallon tank. So he's mostly seen on Sunday, but he enjoys entertaining crowds who come to visit his underwater friends. So if that doesn't make you smile and feel good, I don't know what will.
That's so wholesome.
That's so cute.
He's 5'5", weighs 150 pounds, and his position is designated greeter. And he throws high fives and catches up with fans at the Ray tank on Sunday. So there you go. There you go, guys. Stinger. Wonderful. The other thing that I'm posting, because I have to mention something on Twitter, right, is Sir Yacht's Cleveland World Tour. So if you are a Browns fan, you know Sir Yacht. He is
we do.
Quite a funny follow if you are a Browns fan. And so he is visiting all of the Clevelands in the US, which do all happen basically to be on this side of the Mississippi, with a couple exceptions. I believe there's one in Oklahoma that he's going to. So he is trying to visit. Let me see, make sure I get the number right here. He's trying to visit all the Clevelands that are here in this side of the US. I do love it. Oh my gosh, there's just so much good content on here. So he is visiting, he's starting in Cleveland, New York today. He just arrived. So he's visiting 13 cities in 10 days. So he's going everywhere from New York down to Florida and into Texas, because there's a Cleveland in Texas apparently. Josh, you should go.
Yes, there is.
Oklahoma, Missouri, Minnesota, New York.
There's only one
Cleveland. The OG. Cleveland, Ohio is where the world tour will end. So if you live in a Cleveland in the US, then be on the lookout for Sir Yacht and give him a friendly wave and smile.
He is on Twitter as Sir Yacht. He is on TikTok as Sir Yacht. And I believe he's also on Instagram as Sir Yacht. It is all the same.
Thank you.
He locks that username down.
He did.
I really just appreciate that something as simple as Sir Yacht. He got it.
You did.
He's an early adopter.
Yes. Amazing. Well, that's a good place to end this episode. A couple of wholesome notes. I still can't get over how wholesome that Rays mascot is. It's amazing.
He's so cute.
He is really cute.
So good.
Yeah.
See, and that's actually a great deterrent. You want to have I want to have a scary mascot. I want to make sure that I strike fear into the hearts of my opponents.
Right.
Or you could go so cute that I have no desire to. I don't want to make this guy sad. Like if I were to like hurt him and make him cry, I would just quit baseball.
Yep.
Like I want to protect Stinger at all costs, and that means lose against him.
I mean, it worked. Tampa Bay was the only undefeated major league team coming out of this weekend, so
exactly,
it's working. It's working.
It's working like a charm.
That's right. That will wrap up this episode. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation about the NBA, and we'll see again. By the time we have our next episode, the play-in tournament will be done. We'll be in the midst of first round games, and we'll break that all down too. We've got the NFL draft coming up, so make sure you're following us on all those social medias. Unlike Sir Yacht, it's mostly the same on every platform. 5th and Goal Sports on Instagram and TikTok. But Twitter is dumb and has a character limit on username, so that is at 5th Goal Sports. And if you're saying Twitter, you're not dumb, please verify us, even though we have like 40 followers. But you should follow us there. We've got more content coming out. We've got Jonny's Mock Draft 3.0 coming out this week after a just ton of different moves from all these teams. I think it's finally settled down enough to give you a mock draft. So that's out there on social media and our website, fifthandgoalsports.com. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one. And go Breakers. YouTube, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.